thing. Good afternoon, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ian. I'm known as WanderBeard around these parts, and in today's video we are here in the mountainous town of Monteverde, more specifically Santa Elena here in Costa Rica. I thought today we would go for a little walk down towards the main sort of center of town and have a little look around. I have been here for a few days at this point, and this will sort of, I guess, kind of come out in reverse order in a little bit, in that I was already up to the cloud forest here in Monteverde for a hike, and that will be coming out as a separate video. And I've also been around town a little bit to check some things out, and I also have another special video for another nature preserve here in town that I will talk about as well. But for now, let's head down and get down to the main square and take a look around. So one of the other places I got to check out while I was here is the Verde Nature Preserve, and it was a really, really beautiful time, and I'm really excited to show that to you from my time here in Monteverde. We are just sort of up here on the hill where I've been staying. I've been staying at the Santa Fe Hotel, and it's been an awesome experience there with fantastic people running the place, and you'll see a review of that place later. So for now, just heading down the hill here to get to sort of the center of town and talk about my experience here in Monteverde, Costa Rica, and my recommendations for you, of course, if you choose to come here and check it out. One of the things that has worked out really well here is that because the room I had at the Hotel Santa Fe had a full kitchen in it, I was able to pick up some groceries and make my own meals for most of the week, which is a great way to save some money when you're doing long-term travel. I know lots of people, you know, they think, oh, I'm on vacation, I don't really want to cook for myself, I want to go out all the time. But eating out in Costa Rica does add up quickly. So you have to keep that in mind if you're planning on spending sort of any amount of time in the country, that if you can, pick up some groceries, save yourself a few bucks, and then you can use it for other things, like going on cloud forest hikes. It's also much cooler up here in this part of Costa Rica. I think people anticipate it to be warmer than it is. It has averaged around 21, 22 degrees most days, with the evenings and night times getting down to, 15, 16 degrees Celsius. So it's been very comfortable. You do not need air conditioning while you're here, at least not at this time of the year. And yeah, it's been fantastic. It's been a really cool experience to be here. I did come here on the bus from Punta Arenas, where I got off the ferry, and that was a very smooth ride. It was one bus. Took a little longer than originally expected, but that was just a combination of weather, and then there was an accident just on the outside of town that held us up for a little bit. But in the end, it was fine. It was a great way to travel. I've talked about it before that, people like to use tourist shuttles and that sort of stuff, but there's really very little need for it, I think. So one of the things I haven't done in a while is a grocery haul, and I thought that since I'm here in Monteverde, Costa Rica for a number of days, I just went down to the grocery store to pick up some stuff just to make my daily costs a little bit cheaper. As you saw, I have a full kitchen here, so I decided to put it to good effect. And so I just went down and picked up stuff. Basically, I try and pick up stuff for breakfasts, I try and pick up stuff for snacks, and some light lunches, things like, ham and cheese sandwiches, or some noodle cups, or things like that. Just some stuff to kind of hold me over during the day. And then if I want to go out for a nice supper at night, you haven't blown the budget all at once. So I thought I'd show you what I get here, and I'll show you the final cost and everything at the end. So this is just the first pile. It's just some basics. I got some pasta and some meat sauce to go with it. These pastas were 3-pack, and they were basically the price of 2 for 3, so that was an easy choice. I got some mozzarella cheese to put in my eggs in the morning, as well as on my sandwiches or to sprinkle on the pasta. And then I also got some mustard, mayonnaise, and ketchup. Pretty standard toppings for sandwiches and those sorts of things. I guess we'll call this the liquid pile. So I got a large bottle of Pepsi Zero Sugar, 2 liters of milk, or 1.8 liters of milk, I guess. Salsa, a few beverages. I needed some more shampoo because I was out, and I got some cooking oil just to make my eggs in the mornings. So this is just sort of a selection of dry goods, I guess. I got some cup noodles and some cereal, just again for like little snacky type stuff. I got some buns for my sandwiches. They had these nice thins, multi-grains. Some tortilla chips to go with the salsa that I bought. Some coffee, because there's a coffee maker here. And a cleaning sponge, because I didn't see one here in the kitchen this morning. And this is just the last section. I got some bananas, some fresh vegetables, onions, tomatoes, and peppers to make with my eggs in the mornings, some ham for sandwiches, and a big bag of rice. And the last thing, I almost forgot, I got a pack of 15 eggs too. So not a bad haul. That will do me for 4 or 5 breakfasts, 4 or 5 lunches, and then some snacks and stuff on top of that, which just kind of a good way to cut down the budget, like I said, to save some money. And I don't mind cooking at home. I'm not a fancy chef by any means. I just need some basics to keep me going, and that's kind of what I aim for when I pick up groceries when I'm on the road. So the big question, of course, is what did that cost me? And here's the receipt that I got from the Mega Super Monteverde, which was the grocery store that I went to. And the final total was 39,771 colones. And that works out to about $78 US. So for comparison, I went out for breakfast this morning down to a restaurant down the street, and I got chilaquiles and a coffee, and that came to about 6,500 colones. So 6,500 colones is about $12 US. So really, what I picked up today will basically pay for, if I get 6 meals out of it, it's paid for itself. And there's definitely 6 meals there. There's probably 6 breakfasts there on top of everything else. And then, there's the rice that will go with every meal, the sandwiches, the breakfasts. So I think overall I did pretty well. Groceries on the road are a great way to save money. It feels like a lot when you buy it all at once, of course. But I think that when you spread it out, so like I'm here for, right now I'm here for 5 nights. So if you spread that out over, 5 days, that's only 8,000 colones per day. And 8,000 colones is like $15 US. So in the grand scheme of things, that's certainly much cheaper than going out and eating out for 2 meals and snacks every day, or going out and getting coffees and everything else every day. Like I've got enough coffee now here to last me the week. And I think overall it's just a great way to go. So anyway, that's the quick and dirty grocery haul. I hope you found it interesting, and don't ever think that when you're on the road it's like, oh, I can't cook, I wouldn't cook, I just want to go out and eat. Well, you can, but this is a great way to save some money for sure, especially if you get a place that's got like a full kitchen, or even a partial kitchen, or shared kitchen space, or anything like that at all. Groceries are always the way to go. Just sort of heading down to the main part of the town. It's very overcast. We might get some rain here in a little bit. But one thing I will say is that if you do come here, to make sure that you know, bring some good hiking shoes, because the town is very hilly, especially if you're not staying in the downtown section where I am. I'm up on the hill, so I mean, getting down to downtown is easy, but getting back up can be a bit of a hike. My first night here, when I arrived, I actually had to hike up this hill with my backpacks because I couldn't find a taxi or anything at the time. I think because of the weather, it was kind of overcast and misty and stuff. So on top of everything else, it was just easier. I said, well, I'll start walking, and if I see a taxi or something along the way, I'll grab it. But I never did. So anyway, we're just going to head up down here and up. You can sort of see that yellowish building off in the distance. That's sort of the main road that cuts through the downtown where a lot of the restaurants and stuff are. There's not a lot to do in the town itself. Santa Elena here is primarily a stopping point for people to go to the cloud forests. There's two different ones here. There's the Monteverde cloud forest and then the Santa Elena cloud forest. And one is run by the Parks Service, I guess you call it, in Costa Rica. That's the Monteverde one. And then the Santa Elena one is actually run by a school in the town. And it is decidedly less busy than the Monteverde one. So if that is sort of your choice. From town, I actually got a local shuttle up to the park. There is a bus that runs up there during high season, but during this time of year, there's no public bus or anything. So basically, the hotel offered to book me the shuttle ride. It was $8 US return, and they picked me up directly at the hotel, dropped me off up at the park, and I had actually scheduled a return trip for 1 p.m., but because I finished the hike in a reasonable amount of time, they were still hanging around at 11 when I finished, so they drove me back then. So that was great. A couple spots in town to mention. This Mex Tea Coffee and Drinks. I went there for breakfast, and it was all right. They had Mexican chilaquiles on the menu, so that was kind of nice. I haven't had those for a while, and I do enjoy them. But again, as I mentioned, if you do go out for meals, expect that those costs will add up fairly quickly. I think that was the only breakfast I've been out to all week. The rest of the week I've been making ham, egg, and cheese scrambles with vegetables and coffee and all that kind of stuff at home, and it's worked out fantastic. So we're just going to head up here and head up to the right and have a little look around. So here's the main drag, so to speak, the main road in Santa Elena. This is actually sort of the cross through as well if you're going to some other places. So if you're going to Punta Arenas, you can actually travel this way out of town and head towards that. And then if you're going to Tiburon is just this way. And that's actually the way I'm headed tomorrow for my next destination. It's decidedly quiet here today. It is a Sunday, so that's probably part of it. But that's kind of nice. And I thought that maybe what I would do from here is take a little walk up and get something to eat. There's a restaurant just up around the corner here that came recommended. It's kind of a localized fast foodie kind of place. Probably check that out and give you some thoughts on Monteverde. So this part of Costa Rica is very heavily touristed. You'll see lots and lots of tourist destinations in this part of the country, and deservedly so. I mean, it's a beautiful part of the country with the cloud forests and the elevation, we're here about 1,600 meters or so above sea level. So you get this whole kind of unique climate in this part of the world. The cloud forests here are world famous. They only incorporate about 2 or 3% of the planet at this point, and I think these are the only ones sort of in this whole part of the world. So a lot of people who do come here, of course, come for cloud forest hikes. And so when I was coming here and doing my own research on it, and I had read 3 or 4 reviews, and every one of them said the same thing. They all said that the Monteverde one is very famous, very busy, very popular, all that sort of stuff. But they said if you wanted to see one that was just as impressive but without the crowds, they said that the Santa Elena one was actually the preferred one to go and check out. So that's what I did, and it was an amazing time. I'll put a couple pictures here on the screen, but I've got a full video for the Santa Elena cloud forest hike because it was such a unique experience for me, and I had such a wonderful time doing it. I do think that if you are coming through this part of the world as a backpacker or as a long-term traveler, I think a lot of people get scared about Costa Rica and the costs. And I am so far finding it to be reasonable. It is, of course, more expensive than some of the countries to the north, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, but I don't think it's unreasonable. As you'll see with the place that I have here, and you've already seen with the place that I had previous to this over in Santa Teresa, if you come here at the right time of year, you can have a very good time and stay on your budget quite well. And so that's always been my goal, is to show people that all of these places are attainable on a budget and that you can still have a really good time and see lots of amazing things along the way. So having said all that, let's head over to a restaurant here that I actually get recommended to me by the hotel owners where I've been staying. I was asking them for some recommendations on some locally owned places as opposed to kind of touristy restaurants, and they recommended one right downtown. So let's head down and check it out, since I've been so good and ate in all week. So I've just come here to Chico y Rico, which is sort of a locally owned restaurant here right on the main strip, and have ordered some casados with beef and sauce, which I have loved everywhere else I've been so far. So looking forward to trying it out here. And gonna get a little bite and I'll show you what it looks like, and then we're gonna head back. So that dinner was pretty good. It was a nice little chance to go out and have some supper out rather than been cooking in every night this week. So it's good. It's casados with meat and comes with like a sauce. And as you saw there in the picture, had a fried egg and some tortilla and cheese. And this bank, by the way, this is the National Bank of Costa Rica. If you're in the country here and you're looking to do ATM withdrawals, there are no ATM fees at Banco Nacional here in Costa Rica. At least not for me, with my Canadian debit card. So just keep that in mind. I've been to some of the other ATMs around, and they're charging like 4,000 colones, which is like $8 US for transactions. So if you have a national bank around, make sure you go and get that. So I've also decided tomorrow I am breaking one of my own sort of unofficial travel rules here in Costa Rica. In order to get to La Fortuna, there were 2 options for tomorrow. There was a local transport, local buses. It involves 3 buses, not 2 like I initially thought. And there's only 1 trip per day, which leaves at 7 a.m. from here in Santa Elena, Monteverde. It is about 9 hours to get there by public transit on the 3 buses, and it costs about $10 to $12 US for the trip. I just went over to the information desk, the tourism office, and they said the other option is actually a tourist shuttle, and that takes 3 hours. It involves a shuttle from here to the lake. There's a ferry that actually goes across the lake, and then you get you into La Fortuna door to door in 3 hours. and that was $34 US. So I think for the sake of saving 6 hours of travel tomorrow, for $24 US, that's like $4 an hour. That seems like a pretty good deal, and I think that that's probably what I'm going to do to get to La Fortuna from here. Simply makes my life a little bit easier. I've had a very cheap week here in Monteverde with the groceries and the really good rate on the place that I had. So I think that the smart play here is to use that shuttle. The public transit in Costa Rica is not as robust as it is in other countries. I think due to more people here just having their own vehicles. So there's no public transit. All the transit systems here are all privately owned and not really well interconnected with each other. So there's a little bit of gray area there. So yeah, so that's my plan for tomorrow. I hope no one gives me a hard time in the comments. But I think I'm sure you would understand, and if you were in the same situation and it was $12 for 9 hours or $34 for 3 hours and a nice ride across the lake, I would hope that you would use the same judgment. Just a quick little mention here for Avantcari. They actually have an office down here on the main street, so if you want to come up and check them out, you can actually book here right downtown. It's the easiest way to do it. It's right across from the Tourist Information Center is there, and this is again sort of the main restaurant. There's Tico and Rico Restaurante and all the other stuff, but this is their office, so if you want to book with them, do it here. Anyway, it is now nighttime here in Monteverde. The sun has gone down very quickly here, so it's everything's come to life. Heading back to my hotel, going to show you what it looks like and prepare for tomorrow's departure. So I thought I'd give you a quick room review here where I stayed in Santa Elena / Monteverde. I stayed here at the Hotel Santa Fe, and this might be one of the better deals that I've come across in my entire trip. And even at whatever the regular price might be, this place is still fantastic, and I would highly recommend it to everybody. So this was the family room that I booked, and when I got here I found out that this was actually a fairly new conversion to the hotel. So I was only the second guest to actually stay in this place. And I will flip this around and kind of give you a little bit of a lowdown on everything. So they had this awesome kitchen space here. It was fully loaded, and I mean fully loaded. It had every appliance you could think of. Had a great large-sized refrigerator and microwave and lots of glasses and dishes and all that stuff. There's a great table here with 4 chairs, 2 more lounge chairs here also, one of which actually moved over here to do some work on. There's a flat screen TV here on the wall. So you have your own private entrance. I got the curtains pulled over at the moment, but it's nighttime outside, but this actually goes right out to the street. So that is fantastic. Nice mirror, and my friend the sloth. And then in here, this was the bedroom, and this actually had 3 beds. 2 good, like queen size beds for here, and then I also had this one single bed here. So this place could sleep like 5 people, probably no problem. 2 couples and then 1 here maybe. Nice storage area here for clothes. There's lots of shelving. There's a nice fan up here in the corner. It's cool enough here that you don't actually need air conditioning in this part of Costa Rica. So this fan has been great to help keep the room, kind of keep the air moving at night. And then in here was the nice bathroom also. Nice walk-in shower with a hot shower. You know, all the usual stuff. Don't mind the mess of my things. So the staff here are actually the owners of this place. They are a wonderful couple. They have been super helpful my time here. They offer anything that you would need here. So if you want to book shuttles, you want to book tours, any of that kind of stuff. If you're looking for information, they have it all. And there's also a laundry service on site. So I got my laundry done here second or third day that I was here, and it was I want to say $10 maybe, for up to 2 kilograms of laundry, which is all I ever carry, if you've seen my other videos. So that was great. It made it super simple. And yeah, I don't honestly have the regular price for what this place will be after the initial promotion period. But if you are coming to this part of Costa Rica anytime soon, this is without a doubt the place to stay. It is up on the hill, as you've seen earlier, a little bit out of the downtown core, but it makes it for such a quiet place. It's so relaxing up here. And there's even some restaurants nearby. There's a cappuccino restaurant and coffee shop. There's an Indian restaurant just down the street. There's a local soda restaurant. There's a convenience store right here. So all of that is right here on top of everything else. Again, I got this through, initially through, I looked it up through Trivago, and then Trivago took me to hotels.com, and that's where I made my initial booking. I booked for 4 nights here initially, and I'll put that price on the screen. And then once I arrived, I loved the space so much and thought it was a great spot to get some work done that I actually added a couple of more nights, talking to them directly, you know, paying in cash. And so I'll put the average total that I paid for, I was here for 6 nights. So I'll put the total that I paid for all 6 nights on here. But the short version of all of this is that it worked out to about $20 US per night. And if that price sounds familiar, that's because the last place I stayed at in Costa Rica was also worked out to about $20 a night. So I have to say, I think I've done a pretty bang up job so far, finding really affordable places to stay here in Costa Rica. I fully acknowledge that this is the off season right now. And I would say that, yeah, I've had great success, to be honest. And this place is the perfect example of that. You know, I went down, as you saw earlier, I went down and got groceries for the week. So I was able to use the kitchen facilities here and cook all my meals, my breakfast, my lunches, my dinners. I made coffee here all week. And that really goes a long way to saving you some big money when you're traveling. And that, you know, plus this space, I don't think I've spent more than maybe $30 a day. And that's including all of my food and my accommodations here in Monteverde. So anyway, that's the tour. Again, fantastic spot. This hotel is awesome. The people that run it are awesome. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough for a place to stay here when you're passing through this part of Costa Rica. So we've arrived here at the lake. We're just waiting for the boat to come over from the other side. It's about an hour and a half or so, I would say, to get from Monteverde down to here, including a short break along the way for a coffee break. The road to get here was pretty much what I would expect it, but no different than a lot of the roads that I'd seen in Honduras and Nicaragua along the way. So